Oh, didn't see you there. Tip of the cap, my lady. I was not aware there'd be two of us here tonight, but I suppose, as a true and proper gentleman, I should share my wares. So, if you're interested, I'd be more than happy to go halves with you on a glass of sparkling cherry wine. Yep, I always come prepared when there's ladies present. Oh. Got a little bit on my hands. Delicious. Gee, that was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life.
So here's the situation. It's the dawn of the new millennium, and Pepsi's in trouble. In the year 2000, they experienced a growth of 0.1%. Yeah, 0.1%. Not good. A stagnant market, frustrated investors. They needed to shake things up. They needed a saving grace. They are Nike in need of a Michael Jordan. So what do? They throw all their eggs into one basket with a new Mountain Dew drink. Bright red with a rush of cherry flavor. They considered several names for this new drink, such as Cherry Wave, Cherry Rage, and Cherry Shock. But in the end, they landed on the name the drink was destined to have. Code Red. Hell yeah, brother, let's do this. There's only one way I drink my Code Red. But this decision was a serious risk. At the same time, it changed the soda game forever. It had been more than a decade since Pepsi tried a fresh Mountain Dew flavor when they rolled out Mountain Dew Red, another red soda, in 1988. This fruit-flavored soda opened to a test market in various parts of Alabama to little success, and it was abruptly discontinued. There's an original bottle of Red available on eBay for a steal at $5,500, or best offer. Now, 12 years later, Pepsi was going all in on another Red Mountain Dew, and they were going to do it with mass promotion and, frankly, a rush job. While Pepsi often spent about 2 years developing a new soda, Code Red began development in July of 2000 and was rolled out in May the following year. Only 10 months. And the promotion was crazy. At the start of 2001, months before its official release, a zoo in Florida gave away bottles of Code Red to the first 150 teens that showed up. And that was the target for Code Red. Teens. As chief executive of Pepsi, Gary Rodkin, put it, the target Code Red consumer was a teenager. His hair on end, his eyes bugged out, and his state of mind being just a bit on edge. I kind of fit that demographic. I mean, I was 15, semi-active, and sometimes with a shaggy head of hair. To target this demographic, Code Red was promoted in places like shopping malls, as well as events like the X Games. And with Mountain Dew being a drink primarily popular with white people, with the unveiling of Code Red, Pepsi made a stronger push at targeting urban centers, as they put it. Early commercials for the project were basketball-centered and included individuals such as Tracy McGrady and Chris Webber promoting the soda. Further promotional efforts included, in March, an online racing game was released with the top scorer winning merch as well as a 6-pack of Code Red about a month before its official release. And by the time of Code Red's official rollout, May 2001, this drink, dubbed Dew with a Rush of Cherry Flavor, was being promoted everywhere from trivia contests to minor and major league sporting events. But still, Pepsi never could have known how remarkable this swing for the fences would become. Personally, I was never really influenced by their advertising, but rather by the popularity of the drink at my school. It made me curious and, honestly, was something that made me want to fit in. And it was noted that word of mouth had a significant impact on this drink's sales. While I had no idea how popular the drink had become nationally, Code Red was a phenomenon at my high school. When I think back on the major events that occurred during my high school years, I mainly think of 3 things: 9/11, the start of the Iraq War, and the insane popularity of Mountain Dew Code Red. Seriously.
I bought it as a prop, but I mean, you know I was gonna drink this. Shit, I remember I got this all the time at school, and it always gave me a stomach ache. It's probably all of that Red 40 got the phosphorates. That was probably what did it. Not now, not as an older guy, but when I was in high school and this stuff was everywhere, constantly. Every time I got one, I would get through drinking it. I'd drink the whole thing. Pretty much the moment I got finished, stomach ache for like 20 minutes. But I drank it anyway because I had to, because you were nobody if you weren't drinking this stuff. And you had to get there early. You got to school, you got off the bus, you had the money out of your pocket, in your hand. You were racing down the hallway because if you didn't get to the vending machine before first period, there were none of these left. And that's the way it was, at least in my high school, for literally months, practically my whole sophomore year. That was how it was. It was first come, first serve. You get there early. It didn't matter whether you were thirsty. You got there at the start of the day or you were screwed. Try again tomorrow.
It was nowhere, and then suddenly it was everywhere. Despite Code Red being released in the middle of the second quarter 2001, Pepsi experienced an 18% earnings spike during that quarter. Even a summertime strike by Pepsi delivery drivers could not quell the explosion that was Code Red. And in the third quarter, Pepsi experienced an even larger earnings spike of 22%. And despite it being the early years of the internet, Code Red even developed a strong online presence. There was nothing slowing it down. And this all occurred while the overall soda market was still stagnant. Pepsi hoped to achieve $17 million in sales in Code Red for the year of 2001. This would have given them about 34 weeks to pull this off. They achieved this sales goal in 5. One convenience store noted receiving an order of Code Red set to last them for a month. and it lasted 4 days. This forced the store owners to go to other nearby stores, snatching up what Code Red they could to restock their shelves. And I can only presume this was the norm for most convenience stores all over the country. Even by the end of the year, many places and events were still doing promos and contests with the focus of Code Red being the prize. Even by the end of the first quarter of 2002, Pepsi's profits were still up 17%. Code Red was a significant factor in that. When I say it was a phenomenon, I'm not kidding. I knew none of the information that I've presented in this video when I was a high schooler back in 2001, but still, I somehow knew this drink was different. I knew it was a game changer. You just knew it was something special.
So since I'm discussing soda history from a particular period of history, I want to talk a little bit about soda culture, I guess, or in this case, the manner of the style in which people would drink. Now, I don't know if people are still doing this stuff today. I don't see it, so I doubt it. But there were two things I remember. Now, one, I feel like dates back more to the 90s. Like, I remember I started doing this when I saw other people doing it, and I swear I was only like 10, 11, 12 when I started doing this, which would have put it in the late 90s, which was you would take, if you had a canned beverage, you would just open it enough. Screw it up. So, I've opened it to a point that it's like just a small portion of it is open, and you would kind of put pressure on the can and kind of squeeze it into your mouth. That was a common thing when I was young. I don't know if it was for you, where you came up, or where you came from, but I remember once I was in high school, so this is like 2000s, early high school, 2000, 2001, 2002, something kids started doing, and I started doing it. I don't know why, to fit in, I guess. They would take a push pin, which I don't have, therefore I have this, which I'm not actually going to use. It's only here for demonstration, because if I start trying to do this, I'm going to stab myself. Kids, and I started doing this too, they would take the top of, if they had, a bottle of soda, they wouldn't screw the top off. They would take the push pin and insert it through the middle of the cap. They would poke a little hole in the top, and then they would sit back in their chair and just go like, and squeeze a stream of soda into their mouth. Again, this is very much like 1998 to 2002. Those were trends that I noticed that I also took part in. This was all going on around the time that Code Red was coming out as well, so I felt it bore some substance. And there's something else you gotta understand about me. Yeah, I cut my hair. That's how long it's taking me to edit this damn video. You gotta understand something about me. I was extremely clumsy in high school, and I still kind of am now. I'll bump into walls, bump into door frames, whatever's around. Now I'm substantially less clumsy than I was in high school. In high school, I was tripping over my feet. If there was any way that I could be embarrassed in high school physically, it was going to happen. Now, I don't have a Code Red with me, which is not great for this scenario. So I've got a thing of sunscreen to simulate the bottle. But when you bought those 20-ounce bottles, actually I think ours were even larger than 20 ounce. I think we had like the 1-liter bottles. You know how heavy that is. So I remember doing state testing. I don't remember if this was sophomore or junior year. Between the tests, I was exhausted. I needed some caffeine. I went and got a Code Red. And as I was walking down the hallway, I'm literally like 15 feet from the room. I'm walking along, and when that drink comes out of the vending machine, it's got that condensation on it, and I'm clumsy as hell. I was walking along, and all of a sudden I drilled a girl. Had to be a very popular girl at that. Drilled her in the stomach with that bottle of Code Red. It was like a laser into her stomach. And I turned back thinking, oh, well, it's embarrassing enough that I threw my drink behind me. And I turned and I just see this girl behind me just keeled over, grabbing her stomach. I don't even remember what happened after that. I probably blocked it out because it was so embarrassing and traumatizing for a high schooler to deal with.
It wasn't all awesomeness, however. Like most things that target teens, many parents were troubled by the popularity of Code Red, mainly its caffeine content. Mind you, this was the era right before energy drinks began to take off. Nowadays, we suck down 16-ounce monsters and rock stars with 200 plus grams of caffeine, and those wired drinks. Damn. But back in 2001, the 91 grams of caffeine in a 20-ounce Code Red caused some concern. But then again, what else can you expect from a drink targeted towards bug-eyed teenagers? This was such a focus by Pepsi that even in an industry that tried to minimize the effects of caffeine, they just promoted Code Red as a high caffeinated beverage. They just went all out. And it worked. But what really makes Code Red so iconic, beyond its sparkling red glow or its initial success, is that it motivated an onset of several other flavors. The summer of 2003 saw the release of Mountain Dew Livewire, and the GOAT, Baja Blast, would make its first appearance at Taco Bell's in the summer of 2004. Code Red walked so these others could run. Can you imagine a world without Baja Blast? Nowadays, there's so many flavors that various articles and online videos have been done presenting one's favorite flavors. Mashed did a complete list where they listed Livewire at number 8 and Code Red at number 5, which is some bullshit. Okay, well, I mean, that's fair. Vice also made a complete list where they gave Code Red the number 2 spot, losing out only to Baja Blast. And now there's even hard Mountain Dew available, which also probably wouldn't exist without Code Red, and is something I gotta try someday. And finally, in 2022, a Code Red flavored energy drink was released, although Mountain Dew Amp had released a cherry flavor way back in 2007, a flavor I miss dearly as it got me through many of those long homework nights back in college. I also love the orange and grape Amp flavors while we're talking about it, but they were discontinued back in 2015. So yeah, it really did change everything. Not only that, but over 20 years later, Code Red is still a popular drink of choice for many, myself included. Don't drink this stuff.